Well, Gary Vee says, talk about what you're passionate about. And I'll start with a funny story. So I'm playing high school football, and our school was an academic school, so football players were not important. Soccer players a little bit, but football players definitely not. And, in our school, it was very rare for a sophomore to actually participate in varsity. So I win the job as a sophomore as the place kicker. My leg really hadn't developed. I was about as good as the guy who was punting, but he was a year older, so no biggie. I'm the place kicker. So, of course, we don't really have a nice practice field. It's kind of like a sand bowl, and we had this assistant coach from a very small area outside of Cincinnati, and, about 5'5", 135. He could run a little bit, graduating class very small, so he was a stud in high school. Obviously couldn't go to college. He wasn't that good. So he's our assistant coach. And the first time we do kicking, this is like a week before the game, our first game. This had been summer of '85. And I got no goalpost to kick at. And the head coach says, just kick it straight ahead. Well, no, if it's good. If it goes straight, it'll obviously be good. Whatever, coach. So that's the head coach. Now the assistant coach says, I take 2 steps, and I've been in love with punting and kicking since I was, 9 years old. I played soccer. One of my favorite football players was a guy by the name of Pat McInally. Went to Harvard University, was a punter and wide receiver for the Bengals. And he actually retired at 32 and started writing because when he went to his 10-year college reunion, he realized that even though he's a professional football player, he was behind all of his classmates in life. So he retired. So anyway, I watched football and of course baseball and basketball in college, pro when I could, religiously. That was my thing growing up with sports. And, I played in college as well. So anyway, 10th grade, my assistant coach, Mr. Billy Bates, says, Vinny, you'll never get the kickoff if you take 2 steps. And I look at him and I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, would you just do what I told you? Okay, no problem, coach. So I take 1 step, I kick the ball. It hits me on the ball of my ankle on the inside. It spins off to the left, kind of sideways. It never really turns over like a football does, if you understand what a football looks like when it's kicked. And he says, you know why you missed that? And I said, yeah, because I listened to you. And of course, the other 50-plus football players just started cracking up, and my head coach goes, get out of here. And he's telling me, get the hell off the field. So I'm like, whatever. I grabbed my helmet, and I walked to the locker room, and I took my clothes off, and I took a shower, and, it was near the end of practice anyway. And, about 15, 20 minutes later, all the other players come in, and coach sends somebody down and says, to me and says, hey, coach wants to see you in his office. Head coach wants to see you in his office. So I go up to head coach's office, and he's in his late 50s, and he was a good guy. He kind of played lineman in the leather helmet era. I think we threw about 40 passes my senior year. Is probably a school record. I mean, that's the type of guy he was. He wasn't what type of talent do we have and how do we maximize it. It is we fit everything into this box, and if it doesn't fit, we force it. My sophomore year, we actually gave up 28 points and finished 6-4. That's right. We only gave up 28 points the whole season. That's 4 touchdowns. And we lost all 4 of those games 7-0. So, yes, that team should have been 10-0. So anyway, he sits me down, and, Coach Bates is behind him, and he's kind of chuckling, and he says, Vince, you can't talk to your coach that way. And I'm like, but he's wrong. And he's just laughing. And I said, have you ever watched a football game on a Saturday or Sunday? I invite both of you to go home this weekend and watch every game you can and see if you can find one kicker, just one kicker. If you can find one kicker who takes only 1 step before he kicks, I will apologize on my knees in front of the team. And if you want, I'll even quit football. And the head coach is just laughing. He's like, it doesn't matter. You can't talk to your coach that way. And I'm just sitting there thinking, all right, then what the hell's he telling me that for? So he says, well, if you could just stay out of Coach Bates's way. And from that point on, we basically didn't speak. I mean, we were cordial and stuff. And, you know, he wasn't a jerk to me. And thankfully, I wasn't a jerk to him. But we coexisted for the last for my last 3 years of high school. And he left me alone. And, you know, then I was recruited as a punter and kicker and blah, blah, blah. But that was... It really doesn't matter what you think. Why did I share that? Because number one, I wanted you to get how funny it was. And number two, I wanted you to get how stuck in my position I was. And it doesn't matter if I was right or wrong. It doesn't matter if this was the best way to kick a football. It doesn't matter if I earned a scholarship punting and kicking or I knew what I was talking about. None of that matters. What matters is how stuck in my position I was inside my own mind. Now, if somebody brings something up to me now and my brain tells me, you're a fucking idiot, excuse my French, I immediately take that thought and I set it to the side, and then I actually consider the possibility that there might be truth in their words. I will repeat that. I consider the possibility that there might be truth in that person's words. And then I don't judge it quickly. I sit back, I assess it, I sit with it over time. It might be a day, an hour, a day, a week, a year. It doesn't matter. I sit with it, and then I see if I could find some validity or some truth or something valuable in what they shared. And then I make up my mind. And sometimes I'll come to the conclusion that maybe they were completely off base and there wasn't anything useful for me there. But because I do this, there's a lot of times I find things I never would have found. I find another point of view. I'm able to improve just a little bit. I'm able to expand just a little bit. What my relationships, something in my career, something in my health, something in my work relationships, something in my interactions with people, random people at a grocery store, a pharmacy, or gas station, all because I don't listen to my mind. So if I would like to get anything across to you, it is don't listen to your mind. Step back from your thoughts. Try to be independent from your thoughts. Try to assess. Try to look for new points of view. Consider the possibility that that other person might actually have a valid point. And then, of course, you always have the option to throw out what you don't like. But just consider it. The possibility exists that there might be truth in their words. The possibility exists that there might be something valuable in what they're sharing. They might know something you don't know. There was a very wise woman that once taught me, everyone is an expert at something in comparison to me. So you may not know how to punt or kick a football as well as I do, but there's something that you are an expert at in comparison to me. So why wouldn't I want to learn from you? Why wouldn't I want to seek you as my little teacher in this one little area? So rather than singing and pounding my chest about how great I am and how much I know and how wise I am, why don't I just try and listen? If we all did that, think about how the world would change for the better. So if you're still with me, thank you. You're always welcome to join me. I am very grateful for every one of you, and look forward to seeing you soon. Have a great evening.